Welcome, class. For this lecture, we will be looking at the short, funny, sad, and provocative book called Candide by Voltaire. Not his real name, by the way. We have jumped forward thousands of years from our earlier books. We've entered a time period often called the Age of Enlightenment or the Age of Reason. There's much good and some bad to say about this time period. Many of our modern ideas, like liberty and equality, can be traced back to this time. We also find some origins of science and modern education, the social contract, and one version of the democratic state coming from the philosophers of the Enlightenment. But to give our very first lesson from this week's author, Voltaire, always be skeptical and critical of powerful people in whatever form they take. It is a little hard to see with modern eyes, but this man with the ruffled coat, neckcloth, cane, and wig was one of the most radical thinkers of his day, or really any day. Most of you are in your 20s right now, but how many of you have been kicked out of your country for writing a verse making fun of your country's leader? How many of you then did not learn your lesson from this, wrote some more satire making fun of the leader, and then were put in prison for a year? How many of you got out of that infamous prison, the Bastille, and then insulted another powerful lord of your country by also making fun of him? This lord then had you severely beaten. But as soon as you recover, you challenge this lord to a duel. Instead of dueling, he and his powerful friends throw you in the Bastille for another 2 years. And you're not even 30 years old yet. In your writings over your life, you poke, prod, and ridicule almost everyone in power. You attack the king and all the associated royals, the regent, who is the person that controls the country for a king that is not of age yet. You also attack the Catholic Church and the rich and powerful of every type, who are often the very same people. But it is not just the Catholic Church. You make fun of Judaism and Islam as well. All religions come in for ridicule. When you are forced out of your home country of France, you then make fun of the royalty, the religious, the rich, and the hypocritical wherever you find them in England, Holland, or Prussia. Yet, after all of this, you write poems, plays, essays, and books full of satire. The authorities confiscate, ban, and burn your work wherever they can find it. This is not only an old fashioned response from the 1700s in Europe. We have a diverse group of students in this class. Many of us are from Japan or the United States, but lots of other countries are here as well. And every culture handles critiques like Voltaire's differently. You probably think of the cultural lines few people will cross in your own country. And there are dozens of countries today in the world where it is literally illegal or very dangerous to make fun of the political, religious, or royal figures of the country. People are fined, people are jailed, and people are even killed for jokes and insults. In a weird way, I prefer when a country comes right out and makes a rule. Not because I like these types of rules, but because they are being honest and upfront about it. In my home country of the United States, we can supposedly say anything we want. And if you are a nobody or a comedian, this is mostly true. But if you want to be a public figure or run for political office, and you ridiculed religion in the same way that Voltaire did, you would never get elected. You would never hold a high position. There would never be jail or exile, but you cannot ridicule religion like he did. Atheism is largely banned in political life in my country. Maybe you could say something small and inoffensive, but if you ridiculed all religious people, as Voltaire did, you would never see the light of day. Here's another example. The very same rules and exclusions apply to capitalism in my home country. If you are a very gentle socialist thinker, think Bernie Sanders, you might get elected. There are a few people who have. But if you think you can make constant fun of the rich and powerful and everyone else who loves capitalism, and then get elected, it is simply not the case. Though this does seem to be changing a little with some of the younger people in my home country of the United States. Candide was by far Voltaire's most famous work. And for those of you like me who might be a bit slower in your life, you still have plenty of time. Voltaire did not get his breakthrough work until he was 65 years old. It's a bit hard to believe, but despite all the bans, all the burnings, exiles, and jail time, Voltaire was still ridiculing the hypocrisies of his day until the very end of his life. As a book, Candide is lots of things. It's funny, shocking, upsetting, unfair, and certainly surprising at every point. You'll get to make your own decisions about the book itself, but the background needs just a little explanation. One of the main battle lines of the Enlightenment was between religion, based on faith, and reason, based on the evidence of the senses. Everyone, on all sides, of course, admitted that bad things happen in the world. So, this led to one of the long standing debates in religion and philosophy. It's called the problem of evil. The quick version goes like this: if God is all powerful and all knowing, and bad things do happen, then either God is responsible for those things, or God is not quite as powerful as the Christian religion says God is. One popular religious and philosophical response to the problem of evil was that these things may appear to be evil, but really they are all just a small part of God's larger plan. If you could see the whole plan, you would see why these horrible tragedies actually happened. In Voltaire's day, the most famous philosopher arguing this was Gottfried Leibniz. So Voltaire was attacking Leibniz and the religious ideas behind his argument. In fact, there is a character in the book, Pangloss, who is a stand in for Leibniz. So many bad things happen in the book, I put a partial list right there. Yet at every turn, we are told by Pangloss and others that it's still the best of all possible worlds. This idea that these horrible things are actually part of God's larger plan is the target of Voltaire's satire in Candide. Our world is not all that different from that of Voltaire. Our list of horrible things has changed a little bit, and the powerful people he was attacking have also changed: less kings and more billionaires. And we do have some new and potentially much worse issues like climate change. But other than that, the list is not that different. Yet, most of us will just go about our daily lives. We go to class, go to work, eat, sleep, repeat for 50 years, and then we retire, if we're lucky. And all the time, we will tell ourselves the modern version of the best of all possible worlds. This dumpster fire, this is fine. So, in a class dedicated to the good life, why is a book like Candide on our list? It's pretty dark. I suspect Voltaire would say that he ridicules those in power to reveal the injustice and hypocrisy of our systems, to reveal the inherent weakness of someone who cannot take a joke. But read it yourself and see what you think.